Alright, take 3. Good afternoon, potato heads. I was on Facebook the other day, I was scrolling through my feed, and I saw that one of my Facebook friends had posted, "Who uses Spotify? Should I get my music on there for exposure?" A really good discussion ensued. People were saying that Spotify is good, but you don't get a lot of money from it. Some people were saying that it's only good if you get on playlists, you do get money from that. Another person had brought up what Peter Frampton tweeted the other day. For the 55 million streams he had, he only received about $1,700. We'll get back to the Peter Frampton tweet later. That same day, I had seen a Reddit article that was entitled, "Musicians only got 12% of the $43 billion in the music industry generated in 2017, and it mostly came from touring." Well, I've been wanting to get back into music industry insight videos, and this is a perfect one to talk about, so let's dig into it. Initially, I read the headline, and it was the clickbait title of "Recording Artists Received Only 12% of the $43 billion the music industry generated in 2017. And then when I clicked on it, I saw the rest of the title, and it said, "And it mostly came from touring." Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. When I read that, I didn't think negatively of it. I thought 12%, that sounds better than it's been, right? And in fact, if you look at the Business Insider article, it comes with a chart that shows you that, yeah, revenue for artists is increasing, regardless of what people think about streaming services. If you look at this graph that they posted, there's been a steady increase since 2010, and it's directly proportionate to the amount of money that the average customer is spending on subscription-based services, concerts, and money that is spent at the concerts, be it in t-shirt sales or other merchandise and vendors and that kind of stuff. When I was trying to remember if the number was increased from previous things, I tried to find an old article, and I found this one that I had read that Steve Albini wrote in the 90s. It goes out to about 5%. Okay, so in the 90s it was like about 6.25%. So there was a lot of really good things in the comments section. I really can't even pick apart all the comments. I linked a bunch of things in the description. I'm going to link the Business Insider article. I'm going to link the initial Reddit post. I'm going to link this, the Problem with Music article that I found. I'm also going to link a couple other things. They're all going to be in the description down here. But the main confusion that most people that we're talking about in the comments, and the main reason I'm making this video is people seem to understand that the artists aren't receiving a large portion of where your money goes when you pay for streaming services, when you pay for albums, when you pay for concert tickets, but people still don't understand where that money does go. So I'm going to look at 3 examples real quick, and I posted all the things in the description. The first one is going to be actually an article written by Courtney Love. You can find it easily if you just Google "Courtney Love Does the Math," because that's what the title of the article is. Now, a very important disclaimer, these 3 deals I'm talking about are 360 deals, and they're very different than other deals, but I'm just talking about 360 deals today. I'm having a hard time summarizing this Courtney Love article because there's just a lot going on here, but basically it talks about how in a 360 deal, everything is given to you up front, but everything has to be paid back immediately. So basically the article tells the story of a band who was given $1 million in advance from their record company that they signed a 360 deal with. With that $1 million that they were given from their record company, they spent $500,000 to make the album, and then they spent half the other $1 million paying their producer, who gets 20%. They're paying their lawyer, and now all of a sudden they're dividing it up by 4, and each of them is only getting about $40,000 to live on for a year. So the record does really well, sells 1 million copies, and the record company says, okay, well, we want you to record these 2 music videos. So the music videos cost $1 million to make, and half of that money has to be paid back by the band. Well, the band's like, we already spent that advance you gave us, and you need that advance back, and now you need us to pay for half of these music videos? How are we going to pay for that? The record company's like, oh, don't worry about it. Your album's doing great. You're selling 1 million copies. We'll take the money out of that. So then that's how this band is selling millions of copies, but they're not getting any money because the record company is getting paid back for these music videos, for the album itself that they already paid for. But now he's starting to see where the money goes. So that's example number one. Somewhere in the Reddit article comment section, I saw that somebody had posted, yeah, but I heard that the guy in Metallica makes enough revenue off of the Black Album that he could live comfortably just from that. Metallica bassist Jason Newstead was actually asked this question before. Link to this article is in the description, but basically what they asked him was, the Black Album sells about 4,000 to 5,000 copies a week. Do you make enough royalties off of that album to live comfortably? Answer that Jason Newstead gave was actually more complicated than I think the news reporter was ready for. The answer was that he never received any royalties from the Black Album. When he joined the band, he was a hired gun, his words, and he took 5.5 months before he started getting a full cut. So in the time that they were recording the album, he was just a session guy. And then by the time the album was done, he was on the road with the band, and he was playing with the band, and I mean, they paid him a salary because he was their bassist. He didn't receive royalties from the album. And then after being in the band for long enough, and then they started writing new music, then he started getting accreditations on those albums. So even though he played bass on the Black Album, he never received royalties from it. And I know you're thinking, what a tragedy, the bass player of that album never received royalties from it. But the truth is that the answer to the question was that he was set for life before he recorded the album. Like, he joined the band, and Metallica is an example of a 360 band that actually worked. The first example was a 360 punk band that was getting screwed over. Now, Metallica was a fine-tuned machine to the point where the bassist would show up, and they were like, you know, that you have a job, you play bass. And like, I have a job, I'm the marketing agent, I gotta call these radio stations today. You know what I mean? Alright, I think it's now time to go on to the Peter Frampton case. Peter Frampton tweeted the other day, for 55 million streams of Baby I Love Your Way, I got $1,700. I went to Washington with ASCAP last year to talk to lawmakers about this. So ASCAP, for those of you who don't know, there's ASCAP and BMI are the two main royalty getting agencies for musicians. They're music licensing organizations who license your song through either ASCAP or BMI, and they make sure you get paid through your streams or your downloads or your album sales or your live performances. ASCAP has been trying to put together these marches on Capitol Hill and with songwriters advocacy days, and they're really trying to bring light to the fact that artists should be receiving more than 12%. And they're doing it, they're going in the right direction. And one of these advocacy days, Peter Frampton came out and talked to Congress. Where do I start with this one? I think this is just a perfect example of the 360 deal. It's not hard to imagine a big album like Peter Frampton having a lot of expenses. The reason why he didn't receive the money isn't because it wasn't generating that money. It was because he had to pay everybody back for getting it in front of that many people. I really just don't want to say anything bad about Peter Frampton, so I'm not really going to talk about this specific case too much, but the reason why I'm posting this article, and the reason why I brought it up, and I want to leave it in the description, is because ASCAP posted a graph that is attached to this article. I'm going to tie it back to that Facebook status that I was talking about in the beginning of this. Should you put your music on Spotify for exposure? Undoubtedly, yes. But if you ask me that and replace Spotify for any other word, if it was Bandcamp, if it was, as somebody else posted it in the comment section of the Facebook, a McDonald's bathroom, wherever you can share your music is good. If you want to stand on the street corner and play it, I think that's good. You know, if you're peckish about putting stuff online, why? Don't be. Just make sure that you don't get screwed in the process. You know, I'm gonna make another video in the future, hopefully, about all the things you can do as an independent artist if you want to put your music on Spotify. Some people don't literally know how to do it. It's easier than you think, just Google it, but there are ways to do it through things like CD Baby and DistroKid and different distribution companies. You can straight up like have Sony be your distribution as an independent. and Sony will distribute you really well. But those are the kind of deals in which you'll get screwed, where like you'll start seeing a bunch of sales and then Sony will send you a bill for their distribution. Anyway, without getting rambling, I'm going to talk about this chart. This chart that ASCAP made said 60% of people listened to music streaming in the last year, 55% people listened to streaming music on a smartphone or tablet, and 53% said that they listened to music on YouTube. 66% of people agree that regulations that govern music licensing and copyright protections should reflect the way most consumers listen to music today. Real quick, let me talk about why that's so freaking hard. If I posted this video and I put a song that I didn't have the rights to on this, how would they get paid for that? YouTube would have to find my song using an algorithm. They would have to find somebody else's song on my video. They would have to flag my video. They would have to tell me I need to take my video down. Or they would have to contact UMG, whoever, I'm only using UMG because it's happened before, whoever actually owned the rights to the song, and then they would have the ultimate decide yes or no, whether or not to keep it up. And then if they say yes, then my video comes up and then I get the revenue and then I pay a portion of the revenue to that. That sounds really complicated because it is really complicated. So yes, 66% people agree that music licensing and copyright protection should reflect the way that most consumers listen to music today. But the problem is that 53% of people listen to music on YouTube, and I would say maybe 53% of the YouTube videos that you watch are not uploaded by the people who own the rights to that song. I caught myself the other day trying to repost a video and it wasn't uploaded by somebody who owned the rights to the song. And it had more views than the actual like music video posted by Vivo, and I couldn't believe it. Anyway, as always in the music industry, it turns out the answer is more complicated than I could have explained. I'm going to do more of these videos to answer in my thoughts. Yes, you should. You should. Yeah, post your music wherever you can. Don't worry too much about signing with a record label and having them screw you over. I think that you should be independent and upload your music as much as you can, anywhere you can. Yes, I do think you should get playlisted. I'll make another video about playlisting in the future, how to do that. Until then, Syracuse friends, we have an open jam. People who are not in Syracuse, we post it live every week, so check us out on Facebook. Like, share, subscribe these videos. Leave a comment if you have something else you want me to make videos about in the future. I'm going to do more music industry insights. I'm going to do more music stuff. Cool. Keep potating. See you next week.